Name one movie that's not Gerald's Game, Okja, or Mudbound that's a Netflix original that's actually good. I'll wait. The Cloverfield Paradox is the third Cloverfield movie, and it's a Netflix original movie. Yeah. The movie is directed by that guy and stars a bunch of people that I don't know how to pronounce their names, so I'm sorry. So here are their pictures. And this time around, it follows a bunch of people that are on a space station, and some bad things happen, and it's basically Alien or Life, but slightly different. And it has the Cloverfield name on it. So the best thing that I can say about this movie is that it looks great. The set design is perfect, and I mean, the directing is actually fairly competent. There's nothing, really wrong with it, but it does look good. Now, the acting here it's alright. There are a couple of performances, specifically the main character, her, and this guy. Again, I can't pronounce their name, so I'm sorry, but they do a decent job. Definitely nothing Oscar worthy, but I mean, it's decent. Yeah, and that's it.
Oh man, there is quite a bit of ground to cover on this one. I'll try to keep my thoughts simple, but yeah, this movie was not very good. So first off, Chris talked a little bit about the acting. I'd like to go a little bit more in depth on that. So honestly, I've seen a lot of these actors in other projects, and I think that they're really talented actors. It's just, in this situation, I feel like there were a couple of scenes that they could have done a few more takes and polished up their performances a little bit. Specifically, there's one astronaut in this movie that's from Russia and another one that's from Ireland, and they both give performances that are not the best. And across the board, even the performances that were really good were just nothing really memorable or to write home about. There's not a specific moment in this movie that I feel like, oh yeah, I'm going to remember that scene for the rest of my life because the acting was so good. Now, our biggest problem with this movie is the writing. If you don't know about the history of this movie, it was originally intended to be an entirely different movie. And then about halfway through, Paramount decided to bring on a new team of writers and turn it into a Cloverfield movie. And it honestly shows. I honestly don't go into movies looking for huge plot holes and trying to analyze every single little detail, thinking of how it's going to connect to the rest of the plot. But there are so many moments in this movie that are either a plot hole or a logical flaw that just doesn't make sense, that it was really hard to go without noticing them. After the credits, Chris and I talked about this, and I feel like a lot of this movie was just, they wanted to do a really creepy sci-fi horror type scene, but they didn't really want to work to explain how it connected to the rest of the movie. So you just have these random scenes of horrifying things happening, and then it's just never brought up again. There are also some moments where the dialogue is a little rough. One that particularly stood out to me is near the very beginning. The main character has a significant other, and she's talking to him over Skype. He gets on and he says to her, "I'm getting really sick of just talking to you through a computer screen." She responds by saying, "Are you okay?" Just moments like that where he just told you that he's not okay. I don't know. I feel like the dialogue could have been cleaned up a bit. And then at the end of the day, this is a movie that they rebranded to tie back into the Cloverfield franchise. And there was a lot of marketing buzz promising that this was a movie that was going to answer all of our questions about the Cloverfield series. Not to get too heavy into spoilers, but it really doesn't. Chris and I were both kind of upset with how they handled the Cloverfield connection. And this is really disappointing because we're both fans of the first two Cloverfield movies. The first one isn't high art or anything, but it's a very entertaining monster movie. And the second one was one of my favorite movies of 2016. To have this movie just put on Netflix without any warning and have the Cloverfield name attached to it, and then they really did not do a lot to tie it back into the other movies, it was just very disappointing. The bottom line is, I feel like this movie would have worked and been alright as just a standard space thriller movie that isn't tied to anything else. But when they attempted to shoehorn in the Cloverfield elements, I think that is where the problems really began to arise. So at the end of the day, I'm pretty disappointed in this movie. I went in expecting an at least decent monster movie with the Cloverfield name attached to it, and what I got was not that great. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10.
I'm kind of on the same boat here. I mean, it almost felt like a ripoff to put the Cloverfield name on this movie, even though it really, I don't know, it felt like it just didn't have much to do with Cloverfield. So I'm also going to say 3 out of 10. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate the support. If you guys like what we had to say, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you disagree with what we said, go ahead and leave a dislike and let us know why in the comments. We'd love to hear your opinion. Thanks, guys.